A woman entered the royal banquet hall, her radiant golden hair and beautiful smile captivating the attention of every noble present. Murmurs spread through the hall. Isn't she the princess of the Zeldia Empire? She's the one who leashed the tyrant. And look how beautiful she is. A white-haired man extended his hand to support her as she walked forward. She thanked Madvik for his help, and he bowed respectfully. She was the female lead, Princess Lottie's Aldwin of the Zeldia Empire. With blue eyes and golden hair, her beauty was beyond comparison. Every noble stared at her in amazement. They whispered, "Wasn't the rumor that she was a terrifying villainess? But she appears elegant and graceful." Today she was truly happy. She had never expected that one day she would attend such an international gathering as the representative of the Empire. The Zeldia Empire boasted the greatest prosperity on the continent of Elred. It was also known as the Land of the Gods. She was the daughter of Empress Magnus, the Emperor's first wife. However, her childhood had been dark. After her mother's death, she lived under the Emperor's cruel rule. Meanwhile, her stepmother and stepbrothers enjoyed a life of luxury. Her father forced her to create healing potions endlessly, even when she was ill. She had inherited powerful healing abilities from her mother, and now she was forced to use them for the Emperor's benefit. Her stepmother even banned her from appearing in public, ordering her to do something useful instead. While her stepmother and siblings neglected their royal duties, they forced all administrative work onto her shoulders. Yet when the public praised the kingdom's wonderful policies, the credit went to the crown prince. They claimed it was merely what was expected of the royal family. The crown prince took all the credit for the office work she had desperately completed. As for her stepsister, she mocked her openly, saying the crown prince would prefer a young woman like herself. Her fiancé was stolen just before their wedding. She lost her chance to marry the crown prince and was ridiculed as a past-her-prime decoration princess. Even the maids and butlers looked down on her. She had been lonely and hopeless, but now, she radiated pure and boundless joy. On the other side of the hall, a black-haired man entered. The nobles grew frightened. He was the one who had conquered the entire Zeldia Empire through slaughter, a plunderer without blood or tears. The Tyrant Prince, Prince Diavel Ray Ataraxia, now the new emperor of the Zeldia Empire. He had deep eyes and a dark, majestic aura. The nobles trembled as they noticed how joyfully Princess Lotties was speaking with Prince Diavel. Perhaps the rumors were true, that she had truly leashed that terrifying man. She was happy he had come to the banquet. However, Prince Diavel remained alert, carefully observing the surroundings. She gently told him, "You don't have to be so on guard. The security here is the best in the world." Still, he refused to lower his guard. She softly rubbed his face and reassured him, "No one is going to harm you. Please relax." After seeing her beautiful smile, he finally agreed. He held her hand and slowly leaned into her touch. Then, in a move that astonished everyone, he pulled her closer and declared, "There's no harm in being careful in crowded places. You will stay by my side." The entire hall was stunned. Madvik, the white-haired man, did not look pleased. Suddenly, two ladies pointed toward the entrance. Another man entered the banquet, a handsome nobleman in a stunning, regal uniform. He was from the Lusitani Empire. Crown Prince Zephius Vercraig of the Lusitani Empire. Zephius declared boldly, "She is the one who will become my wife. I will not allow anyone to touch her so freely." As Lotties greeted him, Zephius gently took her hand from Prince Diavel and kissed it, making her blush. "You look even more beautiful today," he said. The crowd was in shock. Had she courted Crown Prince Zephius as well? Prince Diavel's expression darkened. He immediately pulled her hand back and embraced her possessively. A cold tension filled the banquet hall. The two men glared at each other angrily, as if a fierce battle between an eagle and a panther could erupt at any moment. Their hands hovered near their swords. Lotties quickly stopped them. "You're frightening everyone," she said calmly. Both men withdrew their hands from their weapons. The nobles were astonished. They were obeying her every word. Just then, the white-haired man grabbed her hand and wiped it with a handkerchief, once again creating a tense situation. Lotties knew that depending on whom she chose to marry, the balance of power in the world could be completely redrawn in an instant. After some time, beautiful music filled the banquet hall. Nobles began to dance and sing. As she walked through the crowded ballroom, She thought about the future of the Zeldia Empire and its people. She had to choose the best path forward. Suddenly, both Prince Diavel and Crown Prince Zephyus raised their hands toward her, silently inviting her to dance. She had to choose. Crown Prince Zephyus for Craig of the Lusitani Empire, whose future intentions remained unknown. Prince Diavel, the emperor who had conquered Zeldia through bloodshed. Or the mysterious white-haired man, whose true identity was still unknown. In this critical moment, she had to choose the right path. And we will see what happens in the future. In the past, a founding festival was held in the Zeldia Empire. It was the day the empire had been established. The emperor, along with his family, took part in a sacred parade through the city, where citizens cheered for the imperial family and enjoyed the celebration. The emperor of the Zeldia Empire, Magnus Aldwin, delivered a speech, saying, "Guardians of the proud Zeldia Empire and your families, today our nation has reached the glorious milestone of 8 years. The empress stood beside him, adding splendor and glory to the festival. The first and second princes also captivated much attention from the crowd. However, most of the attention gathered around the second princess, Lisa. Her beauty and charm were mesmerizing. People whispered, "Look at the emperor's second princess. How beautiful she is." They failed to notice another figure standing beside her. She was the first princess, Lotties Aldwin. Dressed like a commoner, she attracted little attention from the crowd. She received neither love nor affection, yet she acted as if it were normal. She thought it would be better to go home, as there was no one who cared about her. The second princess, Lisa, was very happy to see her sister in such a state. No one cheered for Lotties, and no one recognized her. Princess Lotties had been born to the former empress, a woman from a minority group. Because of this, she was oppressed by her own family and looked down upon by the citizens. She was forced to wear shabby clothes. Still, she refused to let her spirit break. She smiled, determined to preserve the dignity of a princess. Her smile was so elegant that people stared at her with confusion. The emperor shouted, "People, this splendor is the fruit of your sacrifice and courage. For the prosperity and future of the empire, let us join hands and walk forward together." But Lotties knew the truth. Her father relentlessly pursued expansion and failed to see that the people were suffering because of the wars. Many had become homeless and fallen into poverty. Soldiers who had lost limbs in battle were cast aside like garbage. Princess Lotties wanted to help them, but as an ornamental princess, she had no power to do anything. Among the crowd, a group of children suddenly shouted, "Princess Lotties!" and ran toward the carriage. A soldier saw them and yelled, trying to send them away. He even hurt one of the children, warning them not to get any closer. A white-haired man stopped him and said not to hurt children recklessly. He offered his hand to the injured child and asked if she was all right and what business she had with Princess Lotties. He was Meldic Elias, the captain of the royal guard of the Zeldia Empire. The child said she was fine and that she had brought something to give to Princess Lotties. Princess Lotties saw them and was surprised. Nina and the others had come to see her. They were children from the orphanage she had visited during her volunteer work. After the emperor's speech ended, Lotties thought it would be fine to step down from the carriage and meet them. Meldic smiled and reached out his hand to help her down. But someone watched the scene with jealousy. The children happily gathered around Princess Lotties. She asked them why they had come. They told her they had noticed she was the only princess not wearing a tiara, so they decided to make one for her. They had crafted a crown of flowers, so beautiful that it amazed her. Her eyes filled with tears of joy. She was deeply touched by their present and thanked them warmly, saying they had done a wonderful job. Suddenly, someone pushed Princess Lotties from behind. The flower crown slipped from her hands and fell to the ground. As she tried to pick it up, someone stepped on her hand. It was her stepsister, Lisa. She intentionally stomped on Lotties' hand. Lisa looked disgusted and demanded to know what she thought she was doing. She cast a hateful glare at the children and cursed them, calling them lowly gutter rats of inferior blood. Princess Lisa grew more irritated as Lotties tried to protect the flower crown. She repeatedly stomped on Lotties, injuring her hand badly, and warned her not to lower the dignity of the imperial family. Suddenly, the children grabbed Princess Lisa's leg to stop her. Unable to tolerate it, she cursed them again, telling them to stay away from her. Her brothers arrived and asked what the commotion was about. Lisa told them that filthy gutter rats were clinging to her and refusing to let her go. Seeing this, one of her brother's eyes darkened with disgust. He drew his sword, ready to kill the children. Princess Lottie's noticed just in time. As her stepbrother raised his sword, she rushed forward and embraced the child to shield him. Her stepbrother ordered her to move away, but she refused. In anger, he kicked her violently, knocking her to the ground. Even so, she managed to protect the child. The child trembled in fear, but Lottie's felt relieved that he was unharmed. Then Princess Lisa came behind her and whispered, "Don't you dare break your promise to father." At that moment, the emperor arrived and angrily demanded to know why they were causing trouble during the sacred parade. Princess Lisa told the emperor that Princess Lottie's had attempted to disobey him. Upon hearing this, the emperor became furious. Without hesitation, he kicked Princess Lottie's directly in the face. The impact was so powerful that she spat blood from her mouth. He grabbed her by the hair and pulled her up, shouting that he had repeatedly and strictly warned her that no one must know about her. He ordered the knights to kill all the children to teach her a lesson. The people around them watched in silence, unable to raise their voices. The emperor forced her to watch as the knights prepared to kill the children. She trembled, unable to understand what she could do to protect them. Because of her, innocent lives would once again pay the price. She remembered how, in the past, her father had beaten her brutally for using her power without his permission. That day, he had punished and killed her wet nurse in front of her. She had cried in guilt because of her. Anna had died. Princess Lottie's had sworn she would never let something like that happen again. She begged, "Please, father, stop this." As the knights captured all the children and waited for the emperor's command, a knight asked the emperor what they should do with the other orphans. "Kill every single one of them," the emperor replied coldly. Meldick shouted, "Your Majesty, if we delay any longer, the start time of the celebratory feast will be affected." The emperor stopped the massacre, unwilling to waste more of his time on them. He forcefully threw Princess Lottie's to the ground and said that this time he would spare them, but next time, he would make sure she would never act on her own again. The emperor left. Meldick wanted to help her, but he was helpless in front of the emperor's authority. Still, this time he had managed to save the children. Princess Lottie's lay on the ground, badly injured, crying in despair. Her eyes became lifeless. After some time, she slowly returned to the imperial palace, moving carefully because of her injuries. Despite everything, she felt happy because the children were safe. However, the flower crown they had made for her was broken. She decided she would take everything up to the attic, fold paper cranes, and press the flowers into bookmarks. When the bookmarks were finished, she would bring sweets to the children as a thank you gift. Suddenly, she heard a loud scream that caught her attention. The scream had come from the banquet hall. She placed the broken flower crown into her bag and rushed toward the banquet hall. As she approached, she noticed an unnatural silence. No one was there, not even the royal guards who had been stationed at the entrance. What had happened in the middle of the feast? She slowly pushed the door open. The banquet hall was covered in darkness. As she stepped forward, her foot stumbled over something, and she fell to the ground. Her hand touched something wet. When she looked at her hand, it was covered in blood. Her heartbeat quickened in fear. What was happening here? Princess Lottie's looked further and saw that the banquet hall was filled with the dead bodies of knights. She saw her stepsister lying lifeless. Not only her stepsister, but her stepmother and brothers were also dead. Her breath became heavy as fear took over. Who did this? How could someone do this? Among the bodies, Meldick was still alive, though severely injured. He called out to her weakly. She rushed to his side and asked if he could hear her. She saw a deep wound in his chest. He was gravely injured. The sight reminded her of her wet nurse, Anna. Meldick suddenly coughed up blood. He was at death's door. With his remaining strength, he told her to run away and save her life before losing consciousness. Crying, Princess Lottie's begged him not to leave her alone. She didn't want to lose him. Desperate, she used her healing magic on him. He regained consciousness as his injuries slowly began to heal. Meldick was astonished. The wound was closing instantly. Princess Lottie's cried tears of joy, relieved that she had saved him. But Meldick urgently told her, "Princess Lottie's, you must leave the castle immediately. This is a military invasion. All the royal guards have been subdued by only a few foreigners. Princess Lotties realized that someone powerful must have invaded the castle. They were strong enough to wound the Empire's strongest swordsman like this. Suddenly, someone delivered a powerful kick to the Emperor, sending him flying. The kick was devastating. An unknown figure, a sword in his hand, walked toward the Emperor. Princess Lotties was shocked by the sight, but Meldick again urged her to run. A man with black hair, clad in black armor, approached the Emperor, who was unable to move due to his severe injuries. The man's dark red eyes burned with rage and bloodlust. Princess Lotties froze in place after seeing the dark aura surrounding him. He was covered in blood, a haunting duality in his expression, eyes blazing with rage and revenge. He was Diavel Ray Ataraxia. On the upper level stood a trembling emperor, begging for his life. Below him lay his imperial knights and family members, brutally killed. And it had all been led by a child, a boy standing boldly against the emperor. The emperor of Zeldia, the greatest nation on the continent of Elred, had knelt before a boy who looked no older than a new recruit. Princess Lotties was horrified by the scene. Is this the end for me too? Emperor Magnus noticed her and suddenly thought of an idea. He told the boy, "She is the one who can solve the problem you are struggling with." Then he ordered Princess Lotties to come over. She stood frozen, trembling in fear. Meldick, however, told her not to go and urged her to save her life first. Meanwhile, a man in dark attire watched everything from a balcony. He had seen how Princess Lotties healed the injured knight earlier. He went to Lord Diavel and told him everything he had witnessed. As the Emperor attempted to escape, Lord Diavel slashed his knee. He told him, "First, I will check whether what you said is true. Until then, stay quiet here." Lord Diavel then walked toward Princess Lotties. He grabbed her by the neck and ordered her to come with him. Meldick tried to save her, but he was severely injured and unable to move. When he attempted to interfere, he was easily subdued by an enemy knight. Lord Diavel dragged Princess Lotties into a room and threw her to the ground. First, the Emperor and his family had tormented her, now Lord Diavel. What would happen to her next? Her heart raced so loudly that even Lord Diavel could hear it. She could smell the stifling scent of blood on him. He was covered from head to toe in splattered blood, looking terrifying. The parts of his skin not stained with blood were startlingly pale. His gaze was sharp, almost frightening, and his eyes were so clear it felt as though anyone could be drawn into them. It was the first time she had truly looked at him. Even covered in blood, he looked unbelievably handsome. As she found herself momentarily captivated by his appearance, he suddenly pulled out his sword. "Come back to reality, princess," he said coldly. He removed parts of his armor and abruptly grabbed her neck again, slamming her to the ground. Then he raised his sword and struck downward with powerful force. The blade did not pierce her. Instead, it lodged itself beside her neck. For a moment she saw death. "Stay silent," Lord Diavel warned. Then, to her shock, he removed his shirt in front of her. Embarrassed, she tightly shut her eyes. When she opened them again, she was stunned. Lord Diavel's body was covered in dark marks. Even though his skin was bruised with dark bluish wounds, his physique was well built. Looking closer, she realized these were incurable wounds. A memory surfaced from her childhood. Her father had once shown her a sword covered in darkness. He had slashed a soldier with it and told her she had the ability to create such a cursed sword. She had been terrified. The nanny had stepped forward, insisting that Princess Lotties did not possess such a power. But the Emperor had kicked her and ordered her to remain silent. As Lotties tried to run away, the injured soldier had grabbed her leg, begging her to kill him instantly. The curse was spreading across his body, and the pain was unbearable. To make a strong, sturdy soldier suffer so greatly from a single stab, such a horrific wound that it made them cry and beg for death, was terrifying. Yet Lord Diavel had endured this for years and remained sane. How strong must his endurance be? How long has he been enduring this pain? As the pain surged through him, Lord Diavel threw a sofa aside to control his anger. "Heal me," he commanded. "If you can't, I will kill you." Not wanting to see him suffer like that, Princess Lotties decided to help him. Lord Diavel lay down on the sofa. She explained that in order to fully unleash her healing power, she needed direct physical contact with his body. She timidly asked for permission to touch him. "Don't ask permission for everything," he replied impatiently. "Just hurry and heal me." She gently placed her hand on his body. His entire form trembled. Even the slightest touch caused him immense pain. Realizing this, she became even more careful, touching him as gently as possible to avoid worsening his suffering. If it was truly an incurable wound, even her powers might not be able to heal him completely. Still, she resolved to do her best. She began to heal him. A golden light emanated from her body, growing so bright that even Lord Diavel could not see clearly. Yet he remained on guard. Her healing magic slowly subdued the dark marks. Lord Diavel screamed in pain, though he bit down to hide any weakness. Gradually, his breathing steadied, and his body began to relax. His gaze remained fixed on Princess Lottie's. He observed her carefully. How beautiful she looked even while injured. Her golden hair, her pearl-like eyes, and the positive aura surrounding her captivated him. His heart began to beat faster. Finally, I found it. Suddenly, during the healing process, he intentionally grabbed her and pulled her down. In an instant, the atmosphere shifted from healing to something entirely different. He pinned her beneath him. She lay on the ground while Lord Diavel hovered above her, the distance between them shrinking with every second. She was shocked by his sudden action. He stared into her eyes as he leaned closer and closer. The closeness between them reached its limit. At that moment, anything could happen. But all of a sudden, he backs away from her and releases his grip. Lady Lottie's trembles in fear. Just moments ago, he looked like he was about to kill her. After using her healing power too much, her body suddenly grows dizzy. She almost collapses. Just as she is about to fall, Lord Diavel notices her and grabs her hand, stopping her from hitting the ground. She quickly explains that after using her power so much, she has become weak. The Duke studies her condition for a moment. Then he calmly says that what she has done today is enough. But his expression suddenly turns cold. Giving her a sharp glare, he warns her that as long as she remains useful to him, he will allow her to live. However, if she ever disturbs him, he will kill her on the spot. Lady Lottie slowly sits down on the sofa, still shaken. Her bag slips from her hand and falls onto the ground. Fear fills her mind. If this man gains full control of the kingdom, what will happen to its people? And right now, the only person who can even speak to him is her. Gathering her courage, Lady Lottie says that she will definitely prove herself useful. But in return, he must guarantee the safety of the citizens. Diavel's eyes narrow immediately. "You are talking about safety?" he says coldly. "Do you even know how many innocent lives were lost because of your father?" At that moment, Lady Lottie notices something terrifying. The dark mark on his body is growing darker, and it is slowly spreading. It reacts to his emotions. A dark aura begins to leak from his body as his anger rises. Lord Diavel continues coldly. "You are just as guilty as your father. Your people lived in luxury, nourished by the countless lives that man trampled beneath his feet. And stop playing the victim." His words strike her deeply, but she cannot deny them. Even though she witnessed her father's tyranny countless times, she never truly stopped him. She should have acted as Lady Lottie's, but she was powerless. She tried to speak to her father many times, yet all she could do was tremble in fear, unable to change anything. Slowly, she lowers her head in guilt, but then something catches her eye. Her bag. The flower crown inside it has fallen onto the floor. For a moment, she stares at it, and suddenly, she realizes something. She cannot lose hope now. There are people she truly loves and wants to protect, and she never wants to lose them. This time, she refuses to stand by and watch others get hurt. No matter what the outcome is, she will protect them. With new determination, she stands up and looks straight at Lord Diavel. Then she confidently tells him something shocking. Simply healing him will never cure his curse. The curse on his hand holds the key to unraveling the dark power inside his wounds. And she knows how to break it. But in return, he must promise her one thing. He must promise that he will not hurt anyone else. If he agrees to that, she will cooperate with him and help break his curse. For a moment, the Duke is completely stunned. Just seconds ago, she was trembling in fear. And now, she is boldly negotiating with him. Under these circumstances, Diavel looks at her with a new expression. He is honestly impressed. What an interesting woman she is. After some time, he brings her outside. His entire body is now covered in clothing to hide the curse marks. One of the soldiers approaches him and asks, "Lord Diavel, did you obtain the thing you were looking for?" Inside the mansion, the emperor is laughing. He already knows that Diavel has found exactly what he came for. The emperor then asks if his daughter is useful to him. He desperately offers a deal. If Diavel spares his life, he will willingly give his daughter to him. But Lord Diavel simply walks forward. And in the next second, he slices the emperor's head off with a single swing. The emperor dies instantly. Diavel calmly picks up the emperor's head, and then pulls Lady Lottie's outside the mansion. Outside, a large crowd has gathered. None of them know what has happened inside. They are waiting to hear a speech from their emperor. But instead, one of the enemy soldiers steps forward. He raises his voice so everyone can hear. "People of this empire, we are the army that carries the will of the fallen Fairvale Kingdom. And from this moment onward, we will inherit this land. Your new master is Diavel Ray Ataraxia, and he will ignite a new imperial light upon this kingdom." Murmurs instantly spread through the crowd. Fear quickly follows. Wait, didn't the Fairvale Kingdom fall almost 5 years ago? And if these soldiers are here, does that mean the emperor is dead? The enemy soldier raises his voice again. "Eternal glory to the new emperor, His Majesty Diavel." Panic erupts among the people. Their emperor has been killed, and now an enemy ruler has taken the throne. What will happen to their country now? At that moment, Lord Diavel walks toward Lady Lottie's. Then he suddenly pulls her close beside him, and in front of everyone he makes a shocking announcement. He says he has no intention of wiping out the royal bloodline of this country. The knights nearby stare at him in disbelief. What is Lord Diavel planning to do? Then Diavel reveals his decision. He declares that he will take this woman as his wife, and the next emperor of this land will be the child born between her and him. Lord Diavel looks at her and smiles. The smile only confuses Lady Lottie's even more. She cannot understand what this man is planning to do with this country. Lady Lottie's never imagined that someone would propose to her, while looking at her with murderous intent in his eyes. And yet, as she looks at him now, he seems strangely calm. It makes her wonder what he is truly thinking. After the speech, they return inside the mansion. Lady Lottie's suddenly notices something. Elias is still alive. He has been captured and restrained with brute force, but he survived. Seeing him alive instantly fills her with relief. She feels incredibly happy. Elias also looks relieved when he sees that Lady Lottie's is still alive. For a brief moment it feels like a warm reunion. But then Lord Diavel suddenly gives Elias a cold glare. "Do not look at my wife." Elias clenches his fists in frustration. His hands tighten as anger rises inside him. Then suddenly he drops to his knees. But this is not surrender. While everyone was distracted, he had secretly managed to cut the ropes binding him using a small hidden blade. In the next moment, he pushes the soldier who was guarding him. The knights are shocked. When did he untie the ropes? But Elias is already moving. His eyes lock onto the knight's sword. In a flash, he snatches the weapon away and delivers a powerful kick that sends the soldier flying across the room. Lord Diavel calmly tells Lorenzo to take care of Lady Lottie's. He will deal with Elias himself. The knight who was kicked away is severely injured. Everyone is amazed. Even while seriously wounded, Elias still managed to fight like that. Elias grips the sword tightly and charges toward Lord Diavel. His intention is clear. He will kill him. He must save Lady Lottie's, even if it means sacrificing his own life. Deep down, he truly cares about her. With a loud roar, he rushes forward to attack. Lord Diavel calmly takes his stance. One hand rests on the hilt of his sword. Ready. Their swords clash instantly. A fierce battle begins between them. With a single powerful swing, Lord Diavel pushes Elias backward. Elias quickly realizes something. This man is incredibly strong, and because of his injuries, his own hands begin to tremble. Suddenly, Diavel slashes toward him. The blade barely grazes Elias's face. Elias immediately fights back, refusing to fall. Despite his injuries, he continues giving Diavel a tough fight. Seeing this, Lady Lottie's panics. She shouts loudly, "Please stop fighting. Both of you, talk instead." For a brief moment both men freeze. They turn to look at her. But one of the other knights sees this as an opportunity. Thinking Elias is distracted, he rushes forward from behind and swings his sword. But to his surprise, Elias dodges the attack instantly. Not only that, Elias counters with such force that the knight is thrown to the ground. The defeated knight feels deep shame. How could he lose so easily to an injured man? Lady Lotties then turns toward the Duke. She reminds him of the promise he made. He said he would not harm the citizens. Seeing her speak so confidently, Elias is surprised. Lady Lotties has always been oppressed by her own family. People constantly looked down on her. They even mocked her with the nickname, placeholder Lady Lotties. But now she stands there with confidence, protecting the citizens of this country. She even negotiated with the invader himself. Lord Diavel speaks calmly. He says he will not harm any citizen who does not try to harm them. But Elias is different. He is a member of the imperial family, the empire's greatest swordsman. Even so, in his wounded state and surrounded by enemies, winning this fight will be nearly impossible. Lady Lotties quickly realizes something. If she does nothing, Lord Diavel will kill Elias. So she makes a bold move. She tells Lord Diavel that if he refuses to talk, then she will refuse to marry him. Diavel looks at her coldly. What are you trying to say? Lady Lotties gathers her courage. If you try to hurt him, I will not marry you. But surprisingly, Elias looks even more shocked than Diavel. He cannot believe what he just heard. She is willing to marry this invader? While everyone is distracted, another knight suddenly rushes forward. One of them grabs Elias from behind. At the same time, another knight knocks the sword out of Elias's hand. In an instant, Elias becomes defenseless. He had not even noticed their movements. The other knights praise their teamwork. At least they are not like the earlier idiot who charged in recklessly. Suddenly, Lord Diavel's voice echoes through the room. Stop! His tone is filled with anger. Everyone freezes immediately. He walks slowly toward Lady Lotties. His expression looks extremely dangerous. Lady Lotties closes her eyes in fear. There is no way he will listen to her. At least, that is what she thinks. But then Diavel calmly speaks. He says he will obey her request, and slowly withdraws his sword. All the knights are shocked. Lord Diavel rarely listens to anyone. Lorenzo is also surprised. He never expected Lady Lotties to influence Diavel like this, especially since the Empire is something Diavel hates more than anything. The people around them begin to look at her differently. Perhaps she is not an ordinary woman after all. Lady Lotties looks at him in disbelief. She never expected him to actually listen. Diavel notices her expression. He asks her why she looks so surprised. Then he gently lifts her chin with his hand. A husband, he says, should listen to his wife. Lady Lotties' face instantly turns red with embarrassment. Meanwhile, Elias struggles against the knights holding him. He wants to break free and protect her. But Diavel orders his knights to throw Elias into the dungeon. Lady Lotties still looks worried as two knights drag Elias away. But Diavel calmly assures her. They will not kill Elias. At least, not for now. While being taken away, Elias looks back at Lady Lotties. He smiles and tells her that he will return soon, so she should make sure to take care of herself. Seeing Elias smile at her makes Diavel visibly irritated. He immediately orders the knights to hurry up and lock him in jail. After that, Diavel turns to Lady Lotties. He asks her where her room is. Then he tells Lorenzo to handle the remaining situation. He is going to rest. As they walk away, two knights continue watching Lady Lotties carefully. They still seem to doubt her. Lady Lotties leads Diavel toward his room, just as he requested. But something he said earlier keeps echoing in her mind. He publicly declared that the next emperor of this empire would be the child born between him and her. And suddenly, a terrifying thought appears in her mind. What if he expects her to fulfill her role as his wife right now? Panic begins to spread through her chest. The Duke slowly walks closer toward her. And Lady Lotties can only wonder what will happen next. Lady Lotties thanks Lord Diavel for sparing Elias's life. Then she quietly asks him something. Why did he listen to her back then? Lord Diavel answers calmly. He says his father always told him that a husband should grant his wife's wishes. Hearing that surprises her. Lady Lotties smiles slightly and says he must have had amazing parents. For a moment, Diavel looks a little surprised by her words. Lady Lotties studies his expression carefully. For a brief moment, she sees something unexpected. Faint smile. Gentle and warm. She never imagined he had a side like this. She had always heard that the Fairvale Kingdom was a neutral nation that valued peace more than war or conflict. Once upon a time, Lord Diavel lived happily under the loving care of his parents. But suddenly, his expression darkens. He tells her they should continue the discussion they had earlier. Lady Lottie's looks confused. She had almost forgotten what they were talking about. Diavel reminds her immediately. She said she knew a clue that could break the curse on his body. Then he steps closer to her. His voice turns sharp and demanding. He orders her to tell him everything she knows about breaking the curse. But Lady Lottie's becomes extremely nervous. She doesn't know how to answer him. Because the truth is, she does not have any concrete proof that the curse can actually be broken. Seeing her hesitate makes his expression grow colder. His voice suddenly rises. He demands to know if she has been deceiving him. And then something happens. Pain suddenly surges through his body again. It seems the healing effect from her magic has already faded. The pain grows violent. Trying not to harm her, he warns Lady Lottie's to stay away from him. He tells her to move back, because he is about to be consumed by the darkness again. Dark energy begins to leak from his body. The curse marks start glowing through his clothes. Lady Lottie steps closer, worried. She says she needs to touch him to help. But Lord Diavel immediately knocks her hand away. He warns her not to touch him. He tells her to leave immediately. He says he doesn't have time to control himself. Lady Lottie's quickly notices something. The miasma around him has become far stronger than before. Diavel suddenly drops to his knees in pain. Dark aura pours out of his body. And then, memories begin to flood his mind. A nightmare from the past. He remembers the day everything was taken from him. The day the Empire attacked the Fairvale Kingdom. His father, King Alexios Rey Ataraxia, fought to protect the kingdom. His mother, Queen Serafina Rey Ataraxia, stood beside him. But both of them were killed brutally during the invasion. A knight suddenly grabbed the young Diavel from behind. Then someone slashed deeply into his chest. At that time, he was only 12 years old. That wound was where the cursed mark first appeared. It was the Emperor Magnus who attacked him. He told the man behind him to test the power of the cursed sword himself. When Diavel finally saw the attacker's face, he was shocked. It was the advisor of the Fairvale Kingdom, a man his father trusted completely, the man who betrayed them. Young Diavel cried out in disbelief. He asked why he would betray them like this. Because of that betrayal, his father and mother were killed. The entire kingdom was destroyed by the Empire's soldiers. If that man had never betrayed them, none of it would have happened. Overcome with rage, Diavel slams his fist into the ground. He screams for them to come back. Watching this terrifying rage, Lady Lottie's becomes deeply frightened. Even the most loyal man beside his father had been influenced by Emperor Magnus. Even he had betrayed the kingdom. Diavel suddenly glares at Lady Lottie's. His eyes burn with hatred. How can he trust her? She carries the blood of Emperor Magnus. Sooner or later, she will betray him too. So he should kill her now. His rage grows stronger and stronger. The darkness around him thickens. He wants to destroy everyone from this empire. Every single one of them. Lady Lottie's tries to stop him. He looks terrifying right now, like a demon. But at the same time, she can sense something else. Deep inside, he is trembling, like someone who has just lost something precious. The more his anger grows, the thicker the miasma becomes. She quickly realizes something important. His emotions are directly connected to the curse. The more unstable he becomes, the stronger the curse grows. Lady Lottie steps directly in front of him. She tells him that if he wants to break the curse, he has to believe in her. She promises that she will help him. But Diavel roars in anger. He calls her a liar. He refuses to believe a single word she says. And then Lady Lottie suddenly hugs him. She tells him again that he must trust her, because she will never betray him. At the same time, she begins using her healing magic. She tries to calm his rage. She softly reminds him of something. She is his wife. For a brief moment, Diavel regains his senses. The raging darkness begins to calm down. But suddenly, he warns her to let go of him. He tells her to release him immediately. But Lady Lottie's refuses. Instead, she tightens her grip. She says she will not let go. She continues pouring healing magic into his body. Diavel becomes angry again. He orders her to stop. But suddenly he loses control once more. Dark energy bursts out from his body. The power is so intense that it violently pushes her away. Suddenly, Lady Lotties finds herself inside Lord Diavel's nightmare. In front of her, she sees her father, Emperor Magnus, holding the cursed sword. Nearby, a knight is grabbing a young boy from behind. Then her father slowly raises the cursed blade. When Lady Lotties looks closely at the boy, her heart freezes. It is Lord Diavel. But he is only a child. Without hesitation, Emperor Magnus slashes the cursed sword across the boy's chest. The attack is brutal. The young Diavel screams in pain and agony as the curse enters his body. Lady Lotties realizes something terrifying. She has somehow entered Lord Diavel's memories. In the next moment, the scene changes. A loyal knight manages to rescue the injured child. From that day onward, Diavel dedicates his entire life to revenge. He begins training in swordsmanship. Day after day, he pushes himself harder. He trains until his body nearly breaks. Eventually, he becomes so strong that almost no one can stand against him. His eyes are filled with burning rage. His only goal is clear. He wants to kill Emperor Magnus. He wants revenge on the man who destroyed his life. As Lady Lotties watches these memories, she begins to feel something unbearable. His suffering. All of it begins pouring straight into her heart. The pain is overwhelming. Feels like her chest is about to burst. The pain became overwhelming, and she collapsed. When she slowly opens her eyes again, she feels confused. This place feels different. Where is she? Then she realizes something. She has entered the deepest part of Lord Diavel's mind. In the darkness, she suddenly notices a small figure sitting alone. It is a young boy, the same child she saw in the memory. Young Lord Diavel. Lady Lotties slowly walks toward him. The boy is muttering the same words over and over again. I cannot trust anyone. I have to become stronger. Strong enough to overpower everything. As he repeats those words, darkness begins to pour out of his body. The more hatred he feels, the more the darkness grows around him. Lady Lotties quickly notices something. Every time his emotions spiral out of control, the darkness becomes even thicker. The young Diavel clenches his fists in rage. He swears that he will never forgive them. He will kill them all. As she listens to his words, Lady Lotties begins seeing flashes of the future. She sees how Diavel takes revenge, how he kills her stepmother, how he kills her brother and sister, and finally, how he kills Emperor Magnus with a single swing of his sword. This is the punishment he delivers to the Empire. Lady Lotties quickly tries to stop him. She tells him that the more hatred he feeds, the stronger the curse will become. Suddenly, Diavel clutches his chest. A terrible pain spreads through his body. He screams loudly in agony. Without hesitation, Lady Lotties rushes forward and hugs him tightly. She understands something now. Because of her father's actions, the real Diavel was left behind on that terrible day. All that remained was hatred. While holding him, she begins using her healing magic. She gently tells him something. She promises that she will break his curse. Slowly, Diavel's rage begins to calm down. Lady Lotties continues speaking softly. She says she will be the one to end the chain of hatred that her father started. As her healing magic flows through him, the darkness begins to fade. Eventually, the Duke sits down quietly. The violent energy surrounding him slowly disappears. Lady Lotties finally breathes in relief. At last, he has regained his consciousness. She carefully examines him and asks if he is still feeling any pain. Lord Diavel looks at her silently. The thick fog that once clouded his mind is now gone. For some reason, when she touches him, he feels something strange. Something warm. Something peaceful. Before she can react, Diavel suddenly pulls her into a tight embrace. He realizes that when he holds her, his heart feels calm. Lady Lotties is completely surprised by his sudden action. When she tries to move away, she notices something. Diavel is already exhausted. He slowly collapses down while still holding her. Within moments, he falls asleep, still embracing her. Lady Lotties tries to gently move away, but his grip is too tight. She cannot escape. However, she soon realizes something. He is sleeping peacefully. For the first time, Lady Lotties softly touches his face. He looks so young when he is sleeping. Because of her father, Diavel lost his entire family. That loss turned him into the man he is today. While Emperor Magnus expanded his empire through violence, she could only watch silently. But now her father is gone, and Lady Lotties has made a decision. She will help Lord Diavel as much as she can, no matter what it takes. Eventually, exhaustion takes over her as well, and slowly, she falls asleep beside him. As sunlight passes through the window, both of them can be seen sleeping on the floor, still embracing each other. After a while, Lord Diavel slowly wakes up. For a moment he feels confused. He wonders how long it has been since he last slept this deeply. But when he opens his eyes fully, he is suddenly shocked. Lady Lotties is sleeping right beside him. Then he notices something else. The wound on his body has healed. The pain that used to torment him has also subsided. And he quickly realizes why. All of this happened because of her. She used her power and stopped him from losing control. Just then, Lady Lotties also begins to wake up. The moment she realizes that Lord Diavel is already awake, she becomes startled. She quickly moves away from him and apologizes for her rudeness. She explains that she didn't even realize when she fell asleep. Lady Lotties then looks at him carefully. Compared to yesterday, Lord Diavel looks much better. He is sitting calmly, and his condition seems stable. After some time, the chief advisor, Raven Velkus, arrives in the room. He politely greets Lady Lotties and introduces himself. Lady Lotties also greets him and introduces herself in return. However, Raven is clearly surprised when he sees Lord Diavel. Because due to the curse, Diavel has never been able to sleep properly. Every morning he usually wakes up exhausted after suffering through terrible nightmares. But today he looks completely calm. And Raven quickly understands the reason. It must be because of Lady Lotties' power. He also notices something else. Lady Lotties no longer looks as frightened as she did yesterday. Raven then informs the Duke that there is an important negotiation scheduled for today, so he should begin preparing himself. Soon after, several soldiers enter the room carrying a large wooden bucket filled with warm water. They begin preparing everything for Lord Diavel's bath. Lady Lotties looks surprised and asks Raven something. Is the Duke planning to bathe here? Raven calmly asks if there is a problem with the location. If necessary, they can change it. But Lady Lotties quickly explains that this castle has a proper bathroom. Raven then reveals the reason. Because of the curse wound, Lord Diavel's injuries worsen if he soaks in hot water. That is why he cannot bathe normally. Hearing this makes Lady Lotties feel sad. Because of the curse, the Duke has not even been able to bathe properly. But then an idea suddenly appears in her mind. She turns toward Lord Diavel and asks if he would like to come with her to the bathroom. Diavel thinks about it for a moment. Then he agrees. After some time, they arrive at the castle's bathroom. Lady Lotties quietly places her hand into the water. Then she begins using her healing magic. Slowly, the water starts gaining gentle healing properties. After a while, she finishes. She tells Lord Diavel that he can now step into the bathtub. The healing water will prevent his wounds from worsening. Diavel slowly walks toward the bath. Then he steps inside. Almost immediately, he feels something strange. His body begins to relax in a way he has never experienced before. Normally, whenever he takes a bath, his entire body burns with pain. But now, the pain is being soothed away. There is no burning sensation. No suffering. For the first time, bathing feels peaceful. Lord Diavel quietly thanks her. He says she possesses incredible power. Lady Lotties smiles happily. She is simply glad that she was able to help him. Then she explains something from her childhood. When she was little, her mother used to do the same thing for her. It always felt very comforting and soothing. Her mother once taught her that healing magic can also be used in gentle ways like this. Lady Lotties then tells him something sincerely. Whenever he wants to take a bath again, he can call her anytime. But suddenly, Lord Diavel reaches out and pulls her toward him. Then he looks directly into her eyes and quietly asks her a question. Why is she going this far for him? He asks her if she is no longer afraid of him. Lady Lotties proudly replies that she is not afraid at all. But Lord Diavel calmly tells her that she doesn't need to act tough around him. She has already seen what happens when his cursed wound activates. When that happens, he completely loses control. And when he loses control, he becomes a monster who can hurt anyone standing near him. However, Lady Lotties firmly tells him that he is not a monster. Hearing this, Lord Diavel goes quiet for a moment. Then he slowly says that in the past, There was once someone just like her, someone who was not afraid of him either. And that memory brings him back to a painful moment from his past. One day, while they were taking shelter in a broken building, Lord Diavel's curse suddenly activated. His body twisted in agony as he began screaming in unbearable pain. Night after night, the soldiers tried their best to restrain him, but he was completely out of control. Anyone who came near him would be attacked without hesitation. Many of the knights were injured trying to stop him. They were exhausted, bruised, and wounded. After finally regaining control, Lord Diavel looked at them with guilt in his eyes and apologized. Because of him, they had all been hurt. But then, someone quietly walked up behind him. That man gently comforted him and said that if the cursed wound could be healed, his seizures would eventually stop as well. He even joked that boys at Diavel's age are supposed to be energetic anyway, so everything would be fine. That man treated him with warmth, kindness, and genuine affection. His name was Hugo, and he was the only one who never feared him. But one day during training, the nightmare returned. Lord Diavel suddenly lost control again. He began swinging his sword wildly in every direction. In his rage, 2 or 3 men were seriously injured. Everyone around him froze in fear. No one dared to approach him. But Hugo did something no one expected. He rushed straight toward Diavel. One of the soldiers tried to stop him, shouting that it was useless and that he should come back. But Hugo refused. He pointed out that the fence nearby had already been weakened by a lightning strike earlier. If Diavel continued rampaging there, it could become extremely dangerous. The others warned him again. They told him to stop risking his life for someone who had already caused so much chaos. But Hugo didn't listen, because to him, Diavel was not a monster. He was someone who needed help. And so Hugo stepped forward. Diavel suddenly attacked him. But instead of fighting back, Hugo grabbed his sword. Then he pulled Diavel into a tight embrace, trying desperately to calm him down. In his uncontrollable rage, Diavel shouted at Hugo to leave him alone. He warned him that if he stayed any closer, he might kill him. But Hugo refused to let go. He kept calling out to him, desperately trying to bring Diavel back to his senses. Seeing the situation getting worse, the other knights rushed forward to help. But before they could reach them, Diavel completely lost control. His rage exploded. A terrifying wave of dark energy burst out from his body. The impact was so powerful that Hugo was violently thrown backward. And because the fence had already been weakened, the wooden barrier shattered instantly. In the next moment, Hugo was sent flying over the edge. He fell from a terrifying height. And by the time the soldiers rushed to rescue him, it was already too late. The fall had killed him instantly. When Diavel's rage finally subsided, he saw Hugo's lifeless body on the ground. And in that moment, his heart shattered. Because the one person who had shown him true kindness had died because of him. Roland saw Hugo's body and was consumed with anger. He charged straight at Diavel. With overwhelming force, he slammed the Duke into the ground and grabbed his neck tightly. Roland shouted that Hugo had died because of him. And if Diavel died now, then maybe no one else would have to get hurt. Another knight quickly rushed forward and pulled Roland away from him. But even as he was dragged back, Roland continued shouting curses at Diavel. Meanwhile, Diavel lay there on the ground, and a terrible thought echoed in his mind. If he had simply died earlier, none of this would have happened. He blamed himself entirely for Hugo's death. Some time later, Diavel was resting alone when he overheard several knights talking nearby. One of them said it was becoming far too dangerous to continue. They should give up on protecting the prince. But Raven immediately objected. He said that for the revival of the Fairvale Kingdom, they could never abandon the first prince. Another knight spoke with frustration. He said that if Lord Diavel continued rampaging like this, there would only be more casualties. Hearing those words, Diavel quietly began to cry. Monster, murderer, it would be better if he died. Those cruel words echoed endlessly inside his mind. Yet he was still being kept alive, only for the sake of restoring the Fairvale Kingdom. Through his tears, he whispered an apology to Hugo. Because of him, Hugo had died. This is why, in the present, Lord Diavel tells Lady Lotties to stay away from him. If she doesn't want to die, she should never care about him more than necessary. But as he continues speaking, he suddenly notices something. Lady Lotties is crying. He looks at her in surprise and asks why she is crying. Lady Lotties wipes her tears and answers softly, because the way he tells the story makes it sound like nothing. But the truth is, it must have been incredibly painful. Hugo clearly cherished him deeply, and losing someone like that must have broken his heart. Yet he has been blaming himself ever since. Then Lady Lotties gently tells him something unexpected. From now on, he should never call himself a monster again. And if he ever loses control because of his curse, she will be there. She will stay by his side and stop him, no matter what happens. Hearing those words, Lord Diavel finally breaks down. Tears slowly fall from his eyes. Lord Diavel then warns her about something important. Just because she has healing powers does not mean it is okay for her to get hurt. But Lady Lotties quietly tells him something surprising. Her healing power does not work on herself. Only then does Diavel properly notice her condition. There is still a visible injury mark on her face, and her hands are severely wounded as well. Having the power to heal others, but being unable to heal herself, has always made her feel a little sad. Yet even with those injuries, she still ran forward to help him when he went into a rampage. Lord Diavel sighs and tells her that she was lucky yesterday. She managed to escape with only minor injuries. But if he ever enters that state again, she must immediately run away from him. However, Lady Lotties refuses. Lord Diavel's expression darkens. He asks her why she would refuse something so obvious. Lady Lotties then explains that he is her first priority. There is a very important reason why she must heal his wound and break the curse. Lord Diavel is surprised. He asks her what that reason could possibly be. Lady Lotties hesitates for a moment. Then, with a nervous voice, she reveals the truth. The cursed sword that wounded him was forged by her own mother. For a moment, Lord Diavel is completely shocked. He never imagined that Lady Lotties' mother was the one who created that cursed sword. His expression hardens as he steps closer to her and demands an explanation. Lady Lotties slowly begins telling him the story. Her mother was the daughter of the chief of a small island nation. She possessed a rare power, the power of healing. But that was not the only power she carried. She also possessed the power to create curses. When Emperor Magnus discovered that her mother had healing abilities, he immediately invaded her island. The emperor captured her and used the lives of the islanders as leverage. With their lives on the line, he forced her to leave the island and become his bride. Lady Lotties was only 5 years old when another terrible truth was discovered. The emperor learned that her mother could also use curse magic. At first, he tried to force her to use that power for his own benefit. But when she refused, he beat her mercilessly. When even that failed, the emperor used something far crueler. He used Lady Lotties as a hostage. He threatened that if her mother did not use her curse power to serve him, he would kill her daughter. To protect her child, Lady Lotties' mother had no choice. She finally agreed to the emperor's command. And under that pressure, she forged the most powerful weapon of all, the cursed sword. It was never something she wanted to create. But once the sword was finished, her regret became overwhelming. Deep in her heart, she hated what she had done. So without the emperor knowing, she secretly began searching for a way to break the curse she had created. But one day, the emperor discovered her secret. The punishment was brutal. He beat her so violently that she collapsed onto the ground. Her body could no longer endure the pain. In her final moments, she called Lady Lotties closer. She told her daughter to listen carefully. But Lotties desperately begged her mother not to speak. She knew that even talking would only worsen her pain. Still, her mother continued. Through weak breaths, she confessed that because of the cursed sword she created, countless people had suffered. So she begged her daughter for one final request. Please break the curse of that sword. Because now, she was the only one who had the power to do it. After saying those words, her mother took her last breath, and Lady Lotties was left behind, crying in despair. After hearing the entire story, Lord Diavel becomes furious. His anger toward Emperor Magnus burns intensely. Because of that cruel man, Lady Lotties has been forced to carry such a painful burden. Lady Lotties then quietly tells him something else. She still has not learned the exact method to break the curse. But her mother told her clearly that she possesses the power to do it. And to fulfill her mother's final wish, she will find a way. No matter how long it takes, she will break the curse of that sword and free him from the suffering it causes. Then she gently asks him for something. She asks him not to let her leave ever again. After a moment of silence, Lord Diavel agrees. But he asks her to promise him something as well. She must never push herself too hard. Then, in a slightly nervous voice, he adds something unexpected. If anything happens to her, he will lose the only person who can heal his wounds. Seeing his reaction, Lady Lottie smiles softly. She promises him that she will be careful. Then she raises her hand. She explains that if they press the backs of their hands together, it becomes a promise in the traditional Fairvale style. Lord Diavel looks genuinely surprised. He is amazed that she knows so much about Fairvale traditions. Still, he raises his hand as well. Their hands gently touch, and with quiet smiles, they promise each other that they will keep their words. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Alvi is not happy at all about Lord Diavel's decision. Instead of killing the enemy's daughter, he is planning to marry her. One of the knights tries to calm him down. He says that Lord Diavel must have his reasons. But Alvi cannot accept that. Because of that woman's father, their entire country was destroyed. Raven then speaks calmly. He explains that Lord Diavel only keeps people alive when they are useful to him. After all, Lord Diavel is known to be an exceptionally ruthless man. And the moment he decides someone is no longer necessary, he will dispose of them without a shred of mercy. But unfortunately for them, they do not know the truth. Lord Diavel has already become completely obsessed with Lady Lottie's. The next day, Lord Diavel tells Lady Lottie's that there is something important he wants to discuss with her. But before that, she needs to change her clothes. Soon, a purple-haired knight arrives to guide Lady Lottie's to Lord Diavel's room. When she enters the room, she immediately freezes. She is completely mesmerized by his appearance. Lord Diavel is wearing elegant dark clothing decorated with an ornate gold brooch, a red sash, and a purple sash. The outfit follows the traditional attire of Fairvale. In those clothes, he looks far more dignified, more like true royalty. Lord Diavel calmly tells her that he will be going out for a while. But before leaving, there is something he must do first. He wants to assign a dedicated knight to protect her. He explains that there are several skilled knights she can choose from. Lady Lottie's is very surprised. She never expected that a knight of Fairvale would become her personal guard. But then a worrying thought crosses her mind. Will those knights even accept her? After all, she is the daughter of an enemy country. Becoming the knight of Lady Lottie's might not be something they want. Soon, Lord Diavel leads her into another room. Inside, 3 knights are already waiting. She must choose one of them. The first knight is Randolph. He has black hair and a noticeable scar across his face. The second knight is Eric, who has silver hair and a sharp, cold gaze. The third knight is Serge, a man with brown hair and piercing green eyes. Lady Lottie's quickly realizes something. These are elite knights. She has seen them before. Randolph is even powerful enough to capture Elias himself. Lord Diavel turns to the 3 knights. He calmly tells them that he has a request. Randolph immediately bows and replies. He tells the prince to give his command. Lord Diavel then reveals the request. From today onward, Lady Lottie's will choose one of them to become her dedicated knight. The moment those words are spoken, the atmosphere instantly changes. The knights look shocked. Confusion spreads across their faces. Randolph slowly asks again, just to be certain. Is she really choosing one of them? Lord Diavel calmly answers yes. He explains that without Lady Lottie's, restoring the empire would be impossible. And because of that, they must protect the princess. Randolph hesitates for a moment. Then he nervously explains their position. They understand the importance of Lady Lottie's. However, they are knights who swore loyalty to Fairvale. Even after losing their country, their oath remains unshaken. Lord Diavel's eyes narrow slightly. He asks them directly, are they saying they cannot become the knight of Lady Lottie's, even if they understand her importance? Randolph quietly answers that their loyalty belongs only to Lord Diavel. They cannot swear loyalty to her. Serge then speaks coldly. He says that he will not become her knight. Eric immediately scolds Serge, telling him to mind his tongue in front of the prince. But Lord Diavel raises his hand and stops Eric. Instead, he tells Serge to continue speaking. Serge then reveals the painful truth. Randolph once had a wife and children, but they were killed by the soldiers of Lady Lottie's father. Because of that, How could they ever swear loyalty to the daughter of the enemy who destroyed his family? Serge continues. He says that he also lost his entire family to those same enemy soldiers. So even if they were ordered to serve her, their hearts simply could not accept it. Randolph lowers his head and apologizes to Lord Diavel. He admits that Serge is right. All of them feel the same way. Lord Diavel remains silent for a moment. He understands their pain. Losing loved ones like that is something no one can easily endure. Then he notices Lady Lottie's. She is trembling. Because of the evil actions of her father, she now has to suffer the hatred of those around her. The situation traps Lord Diavel from both sides. He needs someone strong enough to guard her. But he also cannot force these knights to do something their hearts reject. His head begins to ache as he searches for a solution. Even so, he asks them one more time. He understands their feelings. But Lady Lottie's still needs protection. At that moment, Lady Lottie's gently interrupts. She asks if it is really necessary for them to become her personal knight. Maybe any available guard could protect her when needed. She suggests that might be enough. But Lord Diavel immediately shakes his head. Ordinary guards cannot handle the responsibility of protecting her. She needs someone far more capable. Then suddenly, Lord Diavel gives a new order. He tells the knights to release the silver-haired man from the dungeon. And he announces that he will make that man Lady Lottie's dedicated guard knight. The knights freeze in shock. Even Lady Lottie's is stunned by the decision. Because she never expected this outcome. Lord Diavel has decided to make Melodic Elias her personal knight. Here the video end. Why did Lord Diavel suddenly decide to appoint Elias as Princess Lottie's personal bodyguard? What if Elias betrays him and escapes with Lottie's? And most importantly, will Princess Lottie's be able to find a way to break Lord Diavel's terrible curse? We'll find out in the next part. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.